What is good, everybody? Today is September 9th, not September 9th, September 19th, 2025, and today we finally caught a win. After a 2 week dry streak, I've only taken two trades in the past 2 weeks. This will be my third trade. And finally, we caught a win. Pretty much brings us back to break even on those other two losses that we took. But overall, this month, I think we're back up in the green now. But overall, just really solid trade. And honestly, I'm really happy. Even though I was down the past 2 weeks. I took one loss last week. I took one loss this week on I think Wednesday. But I'm actually just really happy with the way that I've been trading. Super patient, waiting for my setup and not taking anything else. And that patience pays off. All right, so let's go into the daily bias here. Right, I was expecting us to use this 15 minute as our condition, right? This is what I thought in the morning, right? We can create an SMT here and get moves lower and maybe even down to this hourly low and then maybe get longs, or if there's a continuation model short, right? If we create a 5 minute fair value, have 15 minute fair value up here, we trade back into it, and then that would be, your internal range liquidity targeting your external range liquidity, which is these London lows, right? Um, so let's go into what happened during the day. So what happened during the day is that market opened. Market's still going on. It's 10 a.m. just opened up, but I already took my trade and I'm done. So I'm just gonna make this recap and log off. But 9:30 opened, right? 9:30 opened on ES as well, and we started trading lower. We swept this high pre-market, and we created this SMT with ES right here. This is the high, the same high on NQ right there, right? So that's the SMT. We created the SMT. We traded lower into this 15 minute fair value gap right below us, right here. And in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, we have that SMT. If we're gonna be bearish and we're gonna go hit this 1 hour, this is 100% getting inverted, especially 9:30, right? If it's 9:30, volatility is not inverting this 15 minute fair value gap, then the draw on liquidity is not going to be lower. And I even gave myself a second condition, right? Okay, so this 15 minute gap held, right? It didn't get inverted. Now, if we're really going to be bearish, this 5 minute is going to hold as well. So even if we respect the 15 minute gap like this, right, and we chop around and it's not true inversion, then this 5 minute should send us lower, right? But it didn't. That 5 minute got inverted, so I went long, right? I think we generated a good amount of buy side liquidity right here, right? We traded higher. We edged these highs right here, these three highs, relative equal highs, and then we traded lower, right? Respecting the change in the state delivery. Why is that change in the state delivery? Because this had just swept out liquidity, right? And ES at this point was trading so much further down. We created an SMT at these lows right here. So now I know ES doesn't need to take these lows, right? NQ turtle souped this liquidity right here. Major displacement up, enough to invert the 5 minute fair value gap, right? I enter thing right here. We trade a little bit lower. Am I worried? No, because we still have the change in the state of delivery, and my stop is at the SMT. And then what happens? We trade higher, and once we created this order block right here, I was pretty much set. Like, okay, I moved my stops up to reduce my risk to this low, because this should be a protected low since it traded into the change in the state or the order block and then moved higher. So it respected a PD rate, making it a protected low, right? And then once we closed above this down close candle, that's an order block, right? What do? Trade higher, trade lower, tap into the order block, and then major displacement up. Move my stops to break even at these internal highs, because if price is going to reject, right? It's going to soup these highs and then travel lower. And then I'd probably log off for the day because my edge probably isn't in the market at that point, right? And then I just held towards all-time highs, right? Pretty simple trade, Very happy with the way I manage risk here with putting my stop at the SMT, seeing the change in the state of delivery, get respected, and then stops to break even at the internal highs. Another thing I want to note, I saw this play out yesterday as well. We had the 5-minute inversion that wasn't that great of an entry, and I mentioned this in yesterday's video. The entry on that 5-minute inversion was way too premium for me, but what ended up happening if we traded lower, respected the change in the state, and got a lower time frame entry out. So that happened again today. Right, we inverted this 5-minute. Fortunately, the close was more bearable for me. I think I forget where my thing was. The close was right here, and I could tolerate that amount of risk, that amount, like the 2 points, but the other one was crazy. But we have another model in below, a model in a model, right? A 1 minute change in the state that we respected, or even this 30-second change in the state that we respected, and then we have a 30-second inversion out, right? And then you would take, what is it, probably enter like here. Stops would be below here. It would be a little bit less RR, but you still capture the move. And honestly, this close is unlucky. If you're down here, that changes it to a 2.38. Let me go to yesterday and show the same example that happened yesterday. It was right here. Right. So this was this 5-minute inversion bouncing off of the, I think it was a 15-minute fair value. Yeah. Yep, bouncing off of this 15-minute fair value gap with the SMTs right here, right, Asia, like that. This is what it looked like yesterday. If we go into the 1 minute. So that's our 5-minute inversion. This is our 1 minute change in the state delivery. Alright, why? Because this turtle souped out this liquidity. Or we swept it, and then immediate reaction upward. And then we had this. We didn't actually invert the 5-minute yet, but we had respected the change in the state delivery right here, and then we had a 30-second inversion out. All right, and I think at this point, if you already have a bullish bias and everything, at this point right here, or well, I guess it's these two gaps combined, at this candle right here, I think you can enter with the assumption, like this is a little bit more discretion, but with the assumption that the 5-minute's going to invert. And then you could even just go break even right here at this internal high. And then that would have played out fairly nicely, right? Because then the 5-minute gets inverted and the 5-minute close was like all the way up here, but you already break even at that point. So if you have a strong draw on liquidity, I think this is something that I might start incorporating in my trading, right? I feel like I see change in state and deliveries a lot easier than, I think it's just an easy PD array for me to add, an easy confluence, and I've been seeing it play out so much the past 3 weeks. But yeah, that's today's trade recap. We finally banked a nice 1.6R trade. Really solid, really nice, really happy with the day. But yeah, I'll catch you all next time, and I'll see you later.